Well, the model, the OnlyFans guy, who was at the center of the Dwayne Dawkins sex scandal tape, has spoken. He has released a statement, and he is saying something very interesting. He is stating that at no time was a recording ever a secret. He is stating that Pastor Dawkins knew that he was being taped and he approved of it. Now, this makes a lot of sense. The reason why it makes a lot of sense is because there was an earlier tape before this one that I did see. And on this particular tape, what the pastor was doing to the OnlyFans model, the OnlyFans model was doing to him. So it makes a lot of sense that he would have known that he was being recorded. Now, I'm going to bring you an update as to what he's doing today. So here it is.
In life, you will learn to, if not already, to appreciate the doors that are marked do not enter. It's not restriction, it's not wrong, it's not unfair, it's protection, it's God's leading, it's redirection. I believe that God has a perspective of things that we don't. He sees the hearts, the minds, the intentions, the motives. He sees what's on the other side of actions, and he sees what's on the other side of opportunities. And sometimes we're so eager to move forward that we neglect seeing the perspective that God has that's greater and more clear. Embrace not only his yes, but learn to celebrate and honor God for his no's. Push, cognizant of God's perspective.
So he's basically giving advice now on positive living, how to get closer to God, how to listen to God, and pretty much to follow, believe, and have faith in God. Okay, that's not all bad. But here's some problems with his new approach to life. Number one, on his social media, he posted his children. This to me is kind of reckless and irresponsible. Now, I'm not at all saying he's not a good father. I do believe that we could all make mistakes. But in this internet age, and when the incident is only 2 months old, and the oldest boy at the top looks to be 11 years old, around that particular age, I put hearts on their faces. I'm not going to show them because they're minors. But Pastor Dawkins, for some strange reason, chose to show them. And this tells me that he's kind of disassociated himself from the events that happened 2 months ago. And I'm talking about when it was broadcast all over the world. That he's kind of behaving in a way that it didn't happen. And I can just happy-go-lucky on with life. And that's in the past. But, Dwayne, some things have a tendency to follow you. It would have been better, instead of posting your children, to just kind of lie low for a while, not have them on social media. Because I mentioned the oldest one seems to be around 11 years old. And at that particular age, we know that they have access to the internet. So you caused your family a bunch of harm and grief already. Why bring the possibility of having your children get ridiculed or called names because of you? Because we know how evil, well, I shouldn't say evil. We know how mean children can be. Children can be very cruel.
Pastor Dwayne Dawkins.
Blessings to everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to be in company with so many people who are willing to be vulnerable and to share. Mine is probably the most recent, I think, I'm not sure, but I had connected with an individual of the same gender, and I've had throughout my childhood up until even this moment dealing with bisexual tendencies, anointed, called of God, and all of that, but did not have an opportunity to really dig into those issues and unpack them. No excuse to it, just what it is. I connected with an individual. It's what they call a sneaky link.
All right.
Yeah. And in that moment, he recorded it. I was aware of the recording. Prior to, it was asked if he could record, and I thought it would be for his personal pleasure, so to speak. Again, I preface this all by saying it was not right. It was wrong, but that's where I was in that moment. I had to acknowledge where I was. Later on that same day, he posted it. He's a content creator. So this is someone who does this as their main or one of their sources of income or whatnot. I called him immediately when I was made aware of it and said, "Why did you do that? You know, please take it down. I didn't give consent for that, etc." He hung up on me. I called back and he had blocked me. That was the last I'd ever heard from him. That evening, you can imagine, I did not sleep. I have a wife and 3 beautiful sons. I pastor a church in South Florida for 14 years at that point. And family, loved ones, all of that. So the weight of that shame sat on me. For the first time ever in my life, I pulled out my life insurance policy. And while church folk laughed at it, while friends distanced from me, I contemplating getting rid of myself. This is the first time I'm saying much of this openly at all, so bear with me if I'm a little shaky about it.
This is good. Thank you. This is powerful.
At the end of that night, I wrestled and I said, well, I thought of my sons. And I said, you know, well, do they live with the shame of having a father who's infidelity of that nature? Because, you know, there's usually grace for heterosexual falls. But when it comes to the same gender, homosexual, what does the scripture say? You can fall 7 times, get up. But most folks have their preferences to how you're allowed to fall.
Yeah. This is good.
And I fell in a way that most folks don't think you can come back from.
Yeah.
Whether it's due to it being sin, which, by the way, my theology has not changed. I still believe in what I believe in, which is the fundamental conservative interpretation of the Bible. But I do believe that the approach to my situation and situations like it needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Because it's more of it than we think.
Yeah.
That night, I decided I'm going to have to live for my sons,
Wow.
for nobody else.
Wow.
You know, a dead dad or a bisexual struggling dad.
Yeah.
Which one? I decided to live.
Wow.
At least for that day.
Thank you.
At least
Come
for
on,
that
give
day.
God praise for that, church.